House Bill 3573, an act designating Roadrunner as the official rock song of the Commonwealth. I'm proud to stand here today with Rep. Walsh and dedicated community leaders like Joyce Linehan and many more throughout the 12 Suffolk districts that have worked to move this process forward. The songwriter, Jonathan Richman, is from Natick. The main line of the song is, "I'm in love with Massachusetts." This was first recorded in the 1970s by the band Modern Lovers and has had this song covered by numerous bands that acknowledge its historic significance. The versions recorded on their other CDs mention specific locations like the Mass Pike, the Prudential Tower, Deer Island, Mattapan, and Roslindale. It combines what makes Massachusetts unique. It combines the city and suburban. It is a great musical tribute to our Commonwealth. I believe it is time that Massachusetts have an official rock song, and with all due respect to my colleagues supporting Team Dream On, their song doesn't even mention Massachusetts. I'm grateful to those in my district who have worked hard on this effort to acknowledge the place of this uniquely Massachusetts song in our history. It is a timeless classic that speaks to our state and our communities. And to quote the song one last time, "I'm in love with Massachusetts. I know you're in love with Massachusetts, or else we wouldn't be here." So I really urge a favorable report out of this committee on this very important issue. Thank you.
Questions for the representative?
Just wonder, Representative, for those unfamiliar, could you sing a little bit for us?
Thank you, Rep. I appreciate that opportunity to have this grand stage, but I'm going to pass on that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to testify.
If the committee would indulge me and turn this into a panel discussion, if you'd be willing to, I would ask Joyce Linehan to join me, who is serving as Representative Walsh's emissary on this. And also we have in our midst a former member of Jonathan Richman's band, who is a legislative aide here in the Massachusetts legislature, serving Representative Petrolati in the House. Ellie Marshall, I'm sorry. Forgot the last name. If they would like to join me in the interest of efficiency and time. I'd like to echo what the representative said and maybe personalize it a little bit more, if I may, and tell you my interest in this issue and this legislation. I first heard the song probably around 1977, and I'll get back to that in a minute. But it was probably about 7 years ago. I was listening to Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers' greatest hits. And listening to Roadrunner, I said to myself, you know what, we don't have an official rock song of the Commonwealth. This would be a nice little civic exercise. I'd like to see it the official rock song of the Commonwealth, but it would make a nice civic exercise for maybe a class, similar to what you saw earlier with the county song. So every time I went to a class in my district and talked civics and talked government, talked legislative process, I pitched the idea as a class project. I thought it was a nice intercession of music and civics. And I did that mainly because I wanted to see this legislation pass, but I wanted to hide behind the children. I didn't want to be accused of filing a frivolous bill. I had no takers. And then this past year, when I saw that Representative Walsh had filed the bill, I was very excited, realized they didn't have a Senate sponsor, so I joined him in that effort. And I know Joyce Linehan will talk a little bit more in a minute on what led that to come about. I got a little nervous when Representative Walsh said he hadn't heard the song at one point and said that his tastes leaned more to U2. But I didn't want him snatching defeat from the jaws of victory by making those statements. But with all due respect to Aerosmith, those guys, many of the members of Aerosmith live in my district, they're constituents. I've met them. I'm an Aerosmith fan. I have certainly many more CDs and albums of Aerosmith than I do Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers. If you ask me what album I'd want to bring if I was stranded on a desert island, I would probably pick an Aerosmith album over a Jonathan Richman album. I've seen Aerosmith in many different venues, from Madison Square Garden to Uncle Sam's in Hull, Massachusetts, to the Fleet Center, to the Dunkin' Donuts Center, Fenway Park. I consider myself a fan of Aerosmith. But the Aerosmith song that's been put forward after the fact that we had filed this legislation has no relevancy whatsoever to Massachusetts. A cursory, quick look at the lyrics will tell you that. If you examine the lyrics, certainly of Roadrunner, it really is a love song penned to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Now back to my personal interest in this. I was a kid, 15 years old, working in a gas station by myself, which now we made illegal under our updated child labor laws in Massachusetts, I might add. But funny story, we used to put the radio on, and the owner of the gas station would come in the morning and he'd be upset that the rock and roll station was on. So finally he took the knob off the radio so we couldn't change the station. So we had to go in with a pair of needle-nose pliers, change the station, and put it back. A couple times we forgot, and he was very angry when he turned the radio on in the morning. But WBZ-FM, which was an album-oriented rock station at the time, it's now Magic 106.7, had Roadrunner in its rotation for some time. And the first time I heard that song, it just immediately grabbed me. And I think the most... and I'm going to paraphrase, maybe someone on the panel can help me out, but one thing I read, and I don't know who to attribute it to, and one description of the song I read by a critic or someone said it is like Paul Revere's Ride for an adolescent youth of Massachusetts. Jonathan Richman wrote the song when he was 18 years old. He's a Massachusetts kid, and I think I was about 15 or 16 when I first heard the song. And the song has kind of stayed with me all that time. When I hear it, it puts me in an instant, it puts me in a place, it puts me in a time. I can envision driving down Route 128, which is referenced in the song. Different versions, as the representative pointed out, different versions of the song reference different things in Massachusetts. You've got North Shore references, South Shore references, etc. The band itself spawned, obviously, a lot of great music, even beyond. As you know, members went on to perform in the Cars. Members of Modern Lovers later went on into the Talking Heads. John Felice went on to form a local well-known band called Real Kids. So there's a great musical history. The song's been covered by many performers, everyone from Joan Jett to the Sex Pistols. In fact, John Lydon, a.k.a. Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols, one time in an interview at the height of the Sex Pistols' popularity, he was asked if there was any music out there, and I'm going to have to paraphrase because a bad word was used, but is there any music out there that was absolutely non-horrible, substituting that word? And he thought for a moment and said, no, all music stinks. And then he thought for a minute, he says, no, there's one exception, Jonathan Richman's Roadrunner. Rolling Stone magazine has put it in their top 500, as they did, in all due respect to Dream On. Both songs made Rolling Stone's all-time greatest 500 rock songs. But again, I think that the music and the lyrics stand on its own. I think that it really is a love letter penned to Massachusetts, as I said. And I know that we have some high-tech devices here. At some point, if the committee wishes, we do have the means, the technological means, to actually play the song today. I think it's the version that is on the Greatest Hits CD, which is a more streamlined version of, I think, multiple versions that have been recorded. If you go to YouTube, you can hear 3 or 4 different versions that were recorded in different years. But that's my brief presentation. I hope that the committee looks favorably upon this, and I think that my 2 colleagues here on the committee, on the panel, have some things to add, and honored by their presence.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Joyce Linehan. I'm very excited to be here to testify in support of House Bill 3573, an act designating Roadrunner as the official rock song of the Commonwealth. I'm also proud to say that I'm the person who asked Representative Walsh, now Boston Mayor-elect, back in January, to introduce this bill. As you've undoubtedly heard, he's had an interesting year, and in a funny way, this Roadrunner campaign became a cornerstone of a forward-thinking arts and culture policy that I would argue helped in some small way propel him to victory. As his campaign policy director and currently his transition co-chair, I can say the subject comes up frequently because to a group of dedicated fans of the iconic song who understand it symbolizes hope and optimism while professing a love of our home state, it is very important. At the very least, it was a good luck charm. And it would be fitting as he leaves the House for the loop to be closed and the bill to be passed. This has been an interesting journey. Over the year that since the bill was introduced, we've gotten a ton of press with stories in all the local media, plus Rolling Stone, Time, Slate, NPR, the BBC, the CBC, and Gawker. A friend of mine in Tokyo told me that he heard me talking about Roadrunner and Massachusetts on the radio one day. Famed author Nick Hornby voiced his strong support, as did the Dropkick Murphys' Ken Casey and The Daily Show's John Hodgman, a Brookline native, who invited the mayor-elect to perform the song on stage with him recently. Luckily, the mayor-elect declined to perform, but he did appear. It's been a blast. The story, indeed the song, captures imaginations around the world and communicates the very character of our modern Massachusetts and her people. This was never meant to be a competition. If we're going to recognize the most popular song, the song that sold the most copies and generated the most revenue, then let's just withdraw the Roadrunner bill right now and give it to Dream On and be done with it. Truthfully, as much as I've loved the publicity that resulted when a competing bill was introduced, because very few things give me greater joy than talking about Roadrunner, oddly, I was crestfallen. It's a false equivalent. And if those who support the other bill can't see that, then I can't really argue with them. They're both songs, but that's where it ends. The other song is a great song by a great band who've been great citizens of our great Commonwealth. They've been generous to charity and ambassadors of our state around the world, but this isn't about that. This isn't really about the artist who created or performed the song at all. This is about a song that I believe captures the very essence of the spirit of Massachusetts. And with that, I give you 17 reasons why Roadrunner should be the official rock song of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'll be fast, I swear. Jonathan Richman, who wrote the song, is a Massachusetts native born in Natick. 2, The Modern Lovers, his band, started out in the Boston area. 3, many of Richman's songs reference growing up in Massachusetts. 4, Roadrunner is an upbeat, youthful ode to the greatness of being alive and the simple beauty of the Commonwealth. 5, Roadrunner is a tribute to the urban landscape with nods to Massachusetts landmarks, both civic and industrial, including the Mass Pike, Howard Johnson's, the North Shore, the South Shore, routes 3, 9, 90, 495, and of course 128, the Prudential, Quincy, Cohasset, Deer Island, Boston Harbor, Amherst, Needham, Ashland, Mattapan, that's probably a first, right? Roslindale, and Stop and Shop. 6, Roadrunner celebrates Route 128, which opened in 1951, the year Richmond was born, and came to be known as America's technology highway. To this day, it still represents Massachusetts' vibrant innovation economy. 7, the many versions of Roadrunner contain lyrical variations and musical deviations that have inspired many passionate late-night conversations among rock fans over which is the best version. 8, Roadrunner has been consistently popular and relevant since its creation in 1970. 9, Roadrunner has been described as the first punk song. 10, Roadrunner communicates its unbridled, unapologetic exuberance about youth, freedom, and Massachusetts essentially and economically using just 2 chords. 11, Roadrunner contains one of the most brilliant lyrics ever written, quote, going faster miles an hour. 12, Roadrunner also has the greatest count-off in rock history, which I'm not going to do, but it's good. 13, Rolling Stone ranked Roadrunner, as Senator Hedlund said, number 269 on its 500 greatest rock songs of all time. 14, a recent article in The Guardian UK convincingly made the case that Roadrunner's rock and roll pilgrimage is just as important as those to Chuck Berry's Route 66, Bob Dylan's Highway 61, Robert Johnson's Crossroads, Elvis Presley's Graceland, and others. 15, legendary rock critic Real Marcus called Roadrunner, quote, the most obvious song in the world and the strangest, which just proves that he's never actually driven Route 128 at night. 16, Roadrunner is a song that describes the mystery of the modern Massachusetts landscape. It has taken the specifics of that mystery and captured the imaginations of people around the world who have internalized it as their own, creating awareness of and interest in our state. 17, it is an unabashed Valentine to our beloved Commonwealth. It says, I'm in love with Massachusetts right there in the song. There's no question that Roadrunner deserves this designation the bill seeks to bestow, and I urge you to look favorably on its advancement with the radio on. Thank you.
And I just would note that with Representative Walsh moving on to another office, he can look upon Jonathan Richman's catalog for potential official city song known as Government Center, which is probably my second favorite Jonathan Richman song. Ellie Marshall, who has connections to the South Shore, and I didn't even know her connection to Jonathan Richman until I came in the room today, and she's a little bit nervous. She doesn't have a problem singing on stage, but she's nervous testifying before this committee, even though she works in the building.
I wasn't planning on speaking
That's
at all.
right.
I think Joyce and the senator covered it all. So.
You want to tell? Maybe you want to tell
tell
them
who
what you
your
told
nephew
me
is?
over here.
Oh. My nephew was supposed to be testifying, Aaron Michaelwitz. I don't know, he's at another meeting, he's late. But I played with Jonathan from about 1979 to 85, 86. I recorded 3 albums with him. And I just think it would be great. I love Roadrunner. We performed it many times on stage. And he's written many, many songs about Massachusetts and New England. He loves this place. So.
Questions?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Ellie. I'm just wondering, I noticed many of the cultural and landmark references in the song lyrics that I have
Yes.
tend to concentrate on eastern Massachusetts, 128, the Stock and Shop, etc. I'm wondering, when you performed at the Iron Horse in Northampton with the band,
Yes.
did you ever slip in a few Western Mass references? In other words, take out the Eastern Mass references?
He would change lyrics all the time. I'm sure that he did. And when we performed there, we didn't even use a microphone. That's
Hey, there's actually one version that references South Greenfield, which doesn't exist, but Greenfield does.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have the sound man standing by. Should we have him pack it up, or what would you like?
I've heard the song many times, and Mr. Chairman. I'm just thinking forward to, say, January, and walking into City Hall and have Roadrunner playing in a constant loop, nonstop. I think I'm going to wait till then.
There may be some U2 sprinkled in with that, though.
Thank you.
Kirsten Alexander.
Thank you for hearing me. I'm a native of Massachusetts and a music fan. I wholeheartedly support the song Roadrunner as the official rock song of the Commonwealth for 4 reasons. 1, the Modern Lovers repertoire highlights what makes Massachusetts special in a way no other band does, especially with this song. As a regular commuter on Route 128 when it's dark outside, my driving is safer and more pleasurable because of Roadrunner. It's catchy and carries the positive message of I'm in love with Massachusetts. It is about modern Massachusetts and will carry us far into the future as our official state rock song. And I hope this bill becomes law, faster miles per hour. Thank you.
Great. Any questions? Thank you for your testimony. William Doncaster.
Morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. I'll be brief. I didn't bring prepared remarks because I didn't want to repeat anything, and I fully echo everything Joyce Linehan said. I just want to raise one important distinction that wasn't raised, and that is that you are voting on the song, not the recording. Aerosmith is an incredible band. One of my favorites, Dream On, is an amazing song with a singularly unique vocalist who hits notes nobody else can. I am, by my own designation, the world's worst guitar player, which is matched only by my inability to sing at all. Roadrunner is an A chord, a couple of blasts of a D chord, back to an A chord. I could teach it to any of you in about 5 minutes. And I could teach you to sing it, and you'd probably do it passably in a way that would be fun for you and your friends. I don't want to hear any of you ever sing Aerosmith's Dream On. I don't want to hear school children singing Dream On. It would be awful. It would be awful for a very long time. By designating a state song, you are essentially opening it to be performed by children groups, to be played at by house bands at events in celebration of the state. Roadrunner actually can be covered by anybody. It's a very simple song. It's easy to play. And others have noted the amount of bands that have covered Roadrunner through the years. And I think you should notice that nobody has really covered Dream On. Bar bands don't play it. Nobody plays it because no one's going to sound like Steven Tyler. And it's harmful to people's ears when people try. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Erica Fletcher.
Hello. I am a resident of Rosendale and a rock musician. And I would like to read a short statement from my cousin, John Hodgman, who was a resident of Brookline, who grew up here and recently did in fact perform the song Roadrunner at the Wilbur Theater after wonderfully bringing Marty Walsh on stage, which I was in attendance at, and it was fantastic. The energy surrounding this song and the momentum to make this song the official state rock song of the Commonwealth is perhaps unprecedented. This song speaks to people like myself who grew up in other states and relocated here. It speaks to the magic and the mystery of of Massachusetts and of that pulsing energy of all of the tech and engineering and universities in this part of the country. And I fell in love with this song when I was a college student 20 years ago. And when I moved here, I put the song on my cassette deck in my car as I was driving to Jamaica Plain to to start my apartment here. And it's an anthemic, amazing song, and I don't think any song comes anywhere close to it. At any rate, those were not John Hodgman's words, those were mine. So here's from John Hodgman. I am writing to express my strong support for your effort. My understanding is that this bill has been referred to the Committee on State Administration and Regulatory Oversight. I also understand that there is a counter effort afoot to name a different song the official Commonwealth rock song, Dream On by Aerosmith. I'd have nothing against Aerosmith. I appreciate that Dream On is a song frequently played at Fenway Park in support of the World Baseball champions, the Boston Beardmen. I know nothing about sports. And in 1991, my wife sold some salmon to Steven Tyler at the Brookline branch of Whole Foods, then Bread and Circus, and she reports that he was a nice person. But I don't need to tell you that Roadrunner is a better choice. It is woven as deeply into the cultural landscape of Massachusetts as the Turnpike itself. It is the pulsing sound of the night and the future. It connects the midnight ride of Paul Revere with the dream of every Massachusetts teenager who has just gotten their license and is discovering the freedom trail that is Route 128 after the last movie lets out. And while Roadrunner is a road song, it isn't driving away from Massachusetts. It's a song that is in love with Massachusetts. You can tell from the part where Jonathan Richman sings, I'm in love with Massachusetts. I know you don't need convincing, but clearly some people do. In any case, thank you for your kind attention. I sincerely hope that you prevail. That is all. John Hodgman. I am hoping that you will issue a favorable report out of committee on this.
Any questions? Thank you for your testimony. William Moore.
Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm a professor of American and New England Studies at Boston University, and I really should be grading exams right now, but it shows how important I feel this is, that even though we've got the looming deadline of turning grades in, I'm here today to urge you to support House Bill number 3573. Now, people who have given testimony previously have covered all the specifics, and I've only got one thing to add to what they've said, in that I'd like to compare Roadrunner to Fenway Park. They're both important, regionally defining cultural statements that were underappreciated until they were brought to the attention of the general public by a grassroots movement. Just as a handful of activists curtailed the wrong-headed idea to tear down Fenway and have turned it into America's most beloved ballpark, so has this movement brought appropriate civic attention to Jonathan Richman's masterpiece. To stretch this comparison a little further, almost to the point where it might break, I'd like to say the organ solo in Roadrunner can be thought of as being the Green Monster. Both bring unreasonable joy to fans. Roadrunner, like Fenway, has been imitated but has never been matched by those who followed it. It deserves to be Massachusetts' official rock song. I urge you to vote in support of this bill and contribute to further appreciation for this work which celebrates the quality of life within our beloved Commonwealth. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Thank you for your testimony. Candy Lemon.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity. I don't really have much to add to what's been said. Let me just say I'm a resident of Cambridge. I'm also a sociologist of rock music, and as I don't have much to add other than that it's one of those songs that you remember when you heard it the first time. And I've been listening to music my whole life, and as I said, I study it. I'm a huge music fan, and there are not many songs that fall into that category where you remember exactly not only where you were when you heard it, but how you felt and how it made you feel. And it expresses an exuberance and an optimism and an energy that is unique, and to have that apply to Massachusetts is certainly makes it worthy of being the state rock song, as others up here this morning have said. It's a classic, and again, nothing against Aerosmith, but as somebody said earlier, a cursory look at the lyrics of the two songs in question, and I think it's pretty clear which song deserves this honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Is there any further testimony on House 2794? Hearing and seeing none, I close that portion of the hearing. Any further testimony on House Bills 3459, 3573, or 3597? Hearing and seeing none, close that portion of the hearing. Is there any testimony, further testimony on House Bill 3753, House Bill 3775, House Bill 3800, or House Bill 3801? Hearing and seeing none, I close that portion of the hearing. Is there any other further testimony or any other further comments from anyone? If not, the Committee on State Administration Regulatory Oversight hearing is closed. Thank you.